This country is not like the others. On paper, it should be one of the world's richest and most prosperous countries, but instead, Iran is a country that's considered hostile to the Western world, and it's hard to say that it's thriving. In addition to all that mess, there's also this thing about Iran's insistence on developing nuclear weapons. But why? I mean, really, why do that? It doesn't have to be this way. In many ways, Iran has actually won the lottery of geography and history. That land has almost always been home to some sort of powerful political entity. This isn't something that can be said about many other countries in the Middle East. Egypt, for example, might have been an ancient superpower, but it's been subject to hundreds of years of subjugation and foreign influence. And even the state of Israel, which regards itself as the continuation of the ancient biblical Hebrew states, has never been a regional power that can compare to the strength of the historical Iranian-Persian empires throughout the years. Persia has almost always been a regional power. That's how things are when you're a country that sits on a strategic location between the Far East and the Middle East. And of course, on the Persian Gulf. That's also just how things are when you are a mountainous country, and that any attempt to invade you would be particularly difficult. And that's without even mentioning the amazing availability of important modern resources in Iran. Iran has immense oil reserves in its territory, and the only countries that have larger proven oil reserves than Iran are Saudi Arabia and Venezuela. Not only that, but it also has an immense quantity of natural gas reserves. The only country with more proven natural gas reserves is Russia. So what we have here is a historical powerhouse that sits in the perfect location with natural defenses, with plentiful resources, and that doesn't exactly suffer from a terrible history of foreign invasions, at least not compared to other successful countries. So why this weird relationship with the developed world? Why does Iran insist so much on aggressive foreign policy? Why insist on developing nuclear weapons? Why insist on terrorism? Well, to tell you the truth, this is actually very reasonable behavior on the part of Iran. And the truth is that it would be completely crazy for the Iranians to not attempt and develop these weapons. It is reasonable when you consider the situation that Iran is in. I mean, look, generally speaking, why do countries want to possess nuclear weapons? Historically, the first country that had a nuclear weapon did not waste too much time before using it. I am, of course, talking about the USA dropping 2 bombs on Japan at the end of the Second World War. But the truth is that the rest of the countries that have developed nukes since never used them. I mean, they never used them, but they actually did use them. Because countries know that if another power has nuclear weapons, it is probably unwise to attack it or to provoke it too much. In other words, the main function of nuclear weapons is to provide deterrence, and that is how these weapons make countries more powerful. It makes everyone else deal more respectfully with anyone who possesses them, until someone makes some error and plunge us all into nuclear apocalypse, but never mind that for now. So Iran is not a very popular country. It is constantly being threatened by powerful players. Israel constantly threatens to attack it. For example, the Americans threaten it indirectly, and even the Saudis would be thrilled if someone were to attack Iran. Yes, fortifying behind the mountains should be enough, but Iran is not interested in fortifying. It is interested in exporting their Shiite Islamic revolution. And besides, when the Iranians look around, what do they see? They see countries like North Korea that no one would ever dream of attacking simply because they have nuclear weapons. On the other hand, they see Israel, their bitter enemy, that allegedly possesses nuclear weapons as well. Israel has also developed its weapons in secret, but Israel wasn't being sanctioned by the West for it. Sure, it was sanctioned by the Arab world, but not by the West. And then the Iranians look at their neighboring countries like Iraq, which was invaded and occupied in 2003. They think to themselves, that would never have happened if the Iraqis had nuclear weapons. No one would ever dare attack them like this. Just like no one dares attack North Korea. They also look at Saudi Arabia and think to themselves that maybe all they need in order to completely dominate the Saudis and the Muslim holy sites is the added leverage of nuclear weapons. And speaking of leverage, do you know what else the Iranians discovered? They discovered that when they have a nuclear weapons program, everyone loses their minds. And then some great power might approach it and say, hey Iran, we agree on giving you a pass on some things if you abandon parts of your nuclear program. And then some other power might say, hey Iran, we are thinking about investing money in you if you abandon parts of your nuclear program. And then a third power might say, whoa Iran, you're so cool, standing up to the West and all. We'd like to be your friends, except maybe you should abandon parts of your nuclear weapons program. And then the Iranians think to themselves, wait a minute, we have created a bargaining chip. Not only would we benefit from having nuclear weapons, but all of a sudden we have something that other countries want. They want us to slow down our nuclear weapons program. So what can we get in return for that? China offers the world cheap labor. Israel offers innovation and technology. Russia offers natural gas. Saudi Arabia offers oil. What does Iran offer? Slowing down its nuclear weapons program. A great product. And let us not forget that the Muslim world generally views the West with some hostility, as a force that has cheated and oppressed them for years. When Iran is viewed by the Muslim world as the power that stands up to the Western powers, it improves their position among Muslims, which is exactly what they want. That's how you export a Muslim revolution. Iran is not interested in being a country like most liberal countries. Iran is not interested in playing the Western game, in which we gain things like free trade, democracy, property, stuff, fun, etc. No, the Iranians are not interested in that. They're interested in other things. They want a Shiite Persian empire. They want to lead the Muslim world, they want to kick the Sunni influence out of the holy sites of Mecca and Medina, and maybe even someday kick the Jewish influence out of Jerusalem. And that means that they can never afford to give in to the West, never give in to the USA, and of course never ever ever give in to Israel, which they view as nothing but an artificial Western colonial construct anyway. That's how things are. The Islamic world works on different principles than the Western ones. So yes, Iran would have been crazy not to have a nuclear weapons development program. And Israel would have been crazy not to oppose it. But this is not a video about why Israel opposes Iran. We'll talk about that maybe some other time.